This is Would Evie Drive It, a tiny little show on our channel where we let Evie judge the cars.
Would I drive a Ford Bronco?
We actually own this Bronco, so I hope so. But first, information explosion.
Let's start with the motion factor.
Sweetie, how do you feel about the styling of the 2021 Ford Bronco that we own?
It's odd, but it looks super rugged, but also adorable. I don't know how it pulls it off.
It's a real Micah Muzio type, you know, very masculine and rugged. Like you can go anywhere and do anything, but also you just want to hug it.
That makes sense that I'm into it then.
Every time I see this thing, I think, man, that is a good looking vehicle.
The same, and you'd think after this long, it would have worn off by now.
2 months.
I mean...
Yeah, it'll be neat if that endures like after 2 years. Yeah. I have a suspicion that it might though. I think this is a very nice looking vehicle. Ford really nailed the aesthetic. What about driving it?
I love that after dropping our girl off at school, I can just like casually go off-road with it, even if you're not there, and feel pretty confident that it'll survive whatever I throw at it.
You've been off-roading without me?
Well, I mean...
Sweetie, this is how I find out? This is a good opportunity. Let's see, how do you feel about the power in the Bronco?
For me, the power feels plentiful. I haven't been wanting in,
Thrust?
I was going to say horsepower, but okay.
Thrust is funny. Let's go with thrust. This is the most powerful vehicle you've ever owned. It's also the heaviest vehicle you've ever owned. But despite that weight, there's plenty of power to get this thing moving. Yes, the 2.7 liter V6 would be faster, but I don't know. We've reached the stage of life where it just doesn't matter. What about ride and handling and maybe using your baseline as the Jeep Gladiator that you spent some time driving around in?
If that's the baseline, this handles beautifully. The steering is so much more precise and it just feels more akin to riding around in an SUV than a rugged off-road vehicle.
100%. I think the ride quality is really quite good. I think there's a sophistication here that we've never experienced in a Jeep Wrangler or a Gladiator, and that makes driving this thing around, whether it's in the mountains here or down in the valley, in urban environments, a real joy. You got a car in front of you. Okay, tell me about the brakes.
So this was a pretty slow stop, but for me, I'm not used to braking a vehicle of this size, and it was really shocking to me that how long it took to stop the first couple times I had to do a hard braking situation.
I think there are a couple things happening. One, there's some dead space at the top of the brake pedal, so you kind of have to push through that with aggression to get it to stop. But also, it's just a really large vehicle that there's a lot of mass you're trying to slow down, and also because of the suspension, there's a lot of weight transfer too. So you slow down, the nose dives, the tires grip. It just takes more time than, like, say, driving a Mini Cooper or even your old Honda CR-V.
It feels like an event, for sure.
One thing you don't really have to worry about up here, what about visibility?
It just occurred to me before we got into the car that I don't really look out the sides very often. The window over here is really large. I can't see out the furthest window back.
I think that's probably because of the car seat there, and that's going to be a problem on a lot of vehicles.
Yes. Over this shoulder, it is not great.
It's a very thick B-pillar. I can't tell you how many times we've complained about that in vehicles, but that's all about rollover strength, especially in a vehicle like this that doesn't have a solid roof.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yay! So what do you think overall? Are you feeling an emotion driving our Ford Bronco?
I sure am. I'm feeling glad to be driving our Ford Bronco.
Woo! Okay. We've achieved emotion, but...
Is it family friendly?
The Ford Bronco is the largest vehicle you've ever owned. Does that translate into interior space?
It does, especially when compared to the Gladiator that we were taking off-road. There was no room for Nana and Papa in it.
Yeah, my mom and dad, we like to bring them along, and so we put our kid in the middle and put them on the outboards, and there really wasn't enough width.
Nope.
Yeah, but in this, roomy second row accommodations and cargo space, for those who love numbers, 38.3 cubic feet. which is good. It's really good.
I've done several big shopping trips and it's been great.
What about getting our kiddo in and out and child seat accommodations?
So the child seat installs fine. You just jam it in between the seats, basically. But getting her in and out has been a little bit of a challenge. I didn't notice it until we started doing the school drop-offs, and you just need to be really fast, and we were having trouble with that. It just takes time to climb in because it's so tall.
For her or you?
Both of us, actually. I need to climb out to help her because it's so tall.
So it adds a little bit of complexity, but not an insurmountable amount, I would imagine.
It actually has motivated her to learn how to buckle her own seatbelt, so that's been good.
Nice. The Bronco, it's a tool for personal growth.
Yes.
What about the swing out door?
I was surprised how difficult it was to open that. I would pull it open and then it would kind of close a little bit, and I didn't realize at first that there are preset angles that it will open at and it will return to them. Yeah,
so it's got this like pneumatic arm, and since there's not like a predetermined detent you can feel, it never goes to where you expect. Now, I don't notice the effort because I'm super ripped, but somebody who doesn't spend 5 minutes a day working out might have trouble pulling that door open. Aside from how much effort it takes to open the door, there's one other issue that we don't have here that we would have if we lived down in the city.
The way it swings open instead of up would be problematic if you were parallel parking in the city and shopping.
Or let's say you have a garage.
Oh, yes.
And you wanted to open your rear door in a garage, you'd have to have a lot of space because it swings out really, really wide. Last family-friendly note, we should talk about safety. The NHTSA has not rated the Ford Bronco just yet, but it is big and it is heavy, and those are safety features we haven't had in any vehicle you've owned before. Mass has some advantages, but the other big advantage for the Ford Bronco are these side curtain airbags, which you will not find in a Jeep Wrangler. And also there's some active safety features in the Bronco that you've never had before. Things like lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking. Those are just nice little safety nets that Sweetie appreciates because life is crazy. So what do we think? Is the Ford Bronco that we already own family friendly?
Oh yes, it is.
Family friendly. But is it
mountain friendly?
This is gonna be an easy one. Look at the vehicle. Yeah, it's mountain friendly.
Oh yeah, it's mountain friendly.
So the Ford Bronco has standard four-wheel drive. This particular Ford Bronco that we bought has the Sasquatch package, which means it has locking front and rear differentials. It has more than 11 inches of ground clearance. Very, very capable off-road. We've done some off-roading in it. In fact, Sweetie, what was your experience during our first big off-road adventure?
It was really reassuring how overbuilt for my skill level this vehicle is. So I love taking it off-road. It's been really nice exploring. I'm really grateful we got the beefy Sasquatch package.
So beefy. Yeah, if you're curious what our off-road adventure was like first time taking the Bronco off-road, click up here over Evie's head region. So what do we think? Is our Bronco mountain friendly?
For sure.
I love the mountains. And now we get to move on to my favorite segment,
Sweetie Potpourri.
Item number one, against the odds, there have been no recalls yet on our Ford Bronco.
Phew.
Now, to be a little bit more clear, Ford has had to replace all of the hardtops they've made, which is akin to a recall, but it was a proactive event on Ford's part, so not technically a recall. We have a soft top. Either way, so far there haven't been major mechanical issues, which is great because the Ford Bronco Sport, the small cute version, that's had a bunch of recalls. So far so good. Let's talk about infotainment. What's been your experience with the standard 8-inch screen?
It's been plenty big enough. I haven't found myself wanting more screen. I really like the wireless aspect of CarPlay. I tend to use that interface more than the native Ford interface because it has all my music on it. But the native Ford interface is, while it's not great to look at, it's been plenty user-friendly.
Okay, so we have the standard 8-inch unit. I say standard, actually. We have the mid package, and what that adds is something called connected navigation. And basically, what it does is it utilizes the GPS abilities of your phone, as is my understanding, to update the maps. And what's weird is that there's a subscription to use the native Ford navigation. And what's even more weird is I cannot find how much that subscription costs. We are in a 90-day free trial, and look as I might to know how much it's going to cost when that trial is done. I can't find it.
That's ridiculous.
Do you know how much we're going to be paying for native navigation? And the reason why we want that embedded navigation is to make sure that we have maps even when we're off the grid, away from cell coverage.
Which happens a lot up here.
It happens a lot, especially if you're going off-roading and stuff. I guess we're gonna have to come back to the navigation setup and kind of figure out how we feel about it with a little bit more experience. They have a 12-inch option for screen size. You don't miss the 12-inch?
I'm glad we didn't pay for that.
Oh, and especially, one of my big favorites is that there's this massive spot here for anchoring your fingers when you're pushing the buttons.
Yes.
And it makes it so easy to make inputs. I really like this. This is, I don't want to say my favorite part of the Bronco, but this is very, very clever. Give me a place to put my thumb and I'll be a happy man.
Oh.
Wow! Whoa! Hi, iguana! You never had it before in a vehicle. How do you like having smart key?
I love it so much. It's so nice. Yeah, between the smart key and the fact that my phone automatically connects, it just makes my mornings feel so much easier.
So we went with the soft top for a couple of reasons. One, we want to get a white hard top whenever that is available. It was not available at time of purchase. Two, by going with the soft top, we were able to get a Bronco this year. If you buy a hard top because of all the hard top problems, that just creates a bunch of delays. So we really lucked out going with the soft top. But tell me, how's your experience been owning a soft top vehicle?
I like it way more than I thought I would, especially how easy it is to just, I do have to stand on the seat, but stand on the seat and flop it back, and there's this nice open air experience that doesn't take a long time.
Yeah, trying to remove panels would definitely be more laborious. And the other thing is that you're probably thinking like, well, what about noise? And honestly, compared to the Jeep Gladiator we were driving, this is so much quieter.
It's quieter than my 2008 CRV too.
Yeah, like driving this thing on the freeway, it's probably louder than the hardtop, but it's not inoffensively loud for a soft top. What about seat comfort?
The seats are not particularly cushy, but I've found them to be plenty comfortable.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the fact that the lumbar support over there is more than ample. And even on this side where there's not adjustable lumbar support, I feel perfectly supported. So yeah, I think the seats are plenty comfortable. It does lead to a question though. We have cloth seats. Did you have some concerns about cloth seats?
Every meal that we eat in here is super messy. We've had ramen, we've had greasy tacos, and every single time I kick myself for not going with the leather.
Well, here's the thing. Can I make you feel a little bit better?
Okay,
I'm going to
do.
offer a trim suggestion and some soothing of your concerns about the seats. Number one, the trim to go with is the one we went with. The Big Bend is a great choice because you can get all of the essentials you'd want in a modern vehicle without paying needlessly more. However, if we had gone just a little bit fancier, we could have gone with the Outer Banks trim, which basically has all the stuff we optioned on to our Big Bend, but we would have spent about $2,000 more. And then, on top of that $2,000, we'd have to spend an additional $2,200 to get leather seats.
So it would have been $4,000 to get leather seats?
$4,200.
$4,200. Okay, I'll be neat
Like-
while I eat.
On the street.
It can't be me. Okay, you have to cut that out.
I'm not cutting anything. Yeah, so we saved some money, and honestly, I think the cloth seats have held up just fine. Yeah, oh, and that Outer Banks trim, you get the signature LED headlights. That's what comes on the Outer Banks, and I like the standard lights more.
I think the standard lights look great.
So that's a long way of saying we really like the Big Bend trim that we got, but if you have extra money and you want to spend it on something nicer, there's a lot of ways to spend more money on a Bronco. We talked about it earlier that we don't need more power, But if you did want more power, there is a 2.7 liter turbocharged V6. It makes a little bit more horsepower, but a lot more torque. And I haven't driven that Bronco yet with the 2.7 liter, but I have folks and friends who have, and they speak very, very highly of it. So if you want more power, that is an option. We don't need more power. What we do need more of is fuel economy. Oh my God, fuel economy in this thing is awful. In fact, maybe we can pause for just a second. We're gonna take a look and see what is our average lifetime fuel economy. 15.9. So the EPA rates this at 18 city, 18 highway. Not a great sign.
The EPA doesn't drive like you do.
Also true. Yeah, I'm contributing to this poor fuel economy. So we're about 2 mpg under what the EPA expected. So this is an awful vehicle for efficiency's sake. And if we were just driving this around day to day with no intention to go off-road, I might feel worse about it.
Yeah, I would not.
But it would look super cool, no matter how much fuel it's using. It'll look super cool. Last thing, what does this compete against? The biggest one obviously would be Jeep Wrangler. That was something we were mulling over for a while when we thought we might not be able to get our Bronco at MSRP. Thank you, Norm Reeves Ford, for standing by your pricing promise and selling this to us without a massive markup. Dealers charging massive markups. I hope people say bad things about you. I'm looking badly in your direction, giving you the stink eye.
Oh no, not the stink eye.
If we say it one more time, we have to make it a stink eye graphic. And then the other one would be maybe the Toyota 4Runner. That's another capable off-roader that could also serve as a family vehicle. Though the other one I will mention, the Ford Bronco Sport.
That is the more logical choice.
In fact, I did some configurating and I saw that you could build the absolute top trim Badlands, totally loaded Bronco Sport for 37 grand, which is less than we've spent on this Bronco. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, here's what they look like side by side.
Going with the Bronco instead of the Bronco Sport was definitely an emotion factor choice.
Yeah, both aesthetically and where we want to go. And I think we're going to be doing much more challenging off-road adventures. And while we might have been able to make it to some of those places in the Bronco Sport, we will definitely be able to make it in the Bronco. All right, well, I think we've pretty well covered it, but would Evie drive it? Sweetie, yes, no, maybe so. Would you drive the Ford Bronco we already bought?
Thank goodness the answer is yes. Okay, if we still lived in the city, I would not drive this vehicle. It wouldn't make any sense. But because we live here, it's a great choice.
That makes good sense. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Is Evie crazy for wanting to drive this Bronco we already bought? If so, tell us in the comments. Well, if you like this video, maybe hit the like button. And if you'd like to see more of these kinds of videos and follow along with our Bronco ownership adventures, feel free to subscribe. If you're curious what we're doing between YouTube videos, you can give us a follow over on Instagram. I think the only thing that remains is the awkward goodbye.